Welcome to another episode of Point of Order, second for today. And today we have a young Bermudian father, husband, entrepreneur, business leader, team leader, who is going to come on now and tell us the definition of point of order. Good evening to everyone in Cayman Islands. We are broadcasting through Cayman Mall Road, Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, and Cayman Brac. And without further ado, Senator Mischa Fubler. Good evening,
Hello,
Senator. How you doing?
Doing well, thanks. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm cool. For those in Cayman Islands, we're in Bermuda experiencing a mini storm here. It's like 55 degrees, so it's very cool there for us. If you see me shivering, I'm not convulsing. It's because it's cool. Good evening, Senator. How
Unusually
you
so.
doing?
Like I said, I'm doing okay. I'm excited to be here. Hopefully my audio is not too bad today. You hearing me okay on that side?
You're good. You're good. You're
All right, good
good.
evening to the viewers.
Um,
Uh,
yes. So for those who don't know what point of order is, give us a 1 minute definition of what a point of order is.
1 minute. So my brief experience in the Senate, I've been there for about a month. It is an opportunity for a member to interject when another member is uh, not quite sticking to the truth. There's several options for providing a point of order, including that member intentionally or unintentionally misleading the House or impugning improper motive as a couple examples. Whereas where they're kind of alluding to someone being not having good motivations to their actions.
That's a lot of words to say. You have to stop people in their lane.
Yeah, sure. To TLDR.
Yeah. All right. So tell us who's Mischa Fubler.
Um, Bermudian product of the public school education system, and intelligent, irreverent Bermuda Island native. I've been here and there, and I'm back again to try and contribute my time and talents to the people of Bermuda.
Okay. So how did you find yourself involved in politics?
I mean, there's definitely some family history there. My great uncle, my great uncle, yeah, my grandmother's brother is Gilbert Darrell, who was one of the early members of PLP. He also formed the NLP in the 80s or 90s. My father, Darrell Fubler, was well known, kind of socially conscious, and his youngest brother, Glenn Fubler, is still out there fighting a good fight for social justice issues. He's definitely one of my inspirations for my activism. And I guess you said how I find myself here in the politics. I was one of the founding members of Social Justice Bermuda back in 2020, and we had some successes through our activism and advocacy. But I wanted to kind of take that to the next level and be able to uh, provide my kind of worldview and professional and social justice experience to the political landscape.
Okay. All right. So what has been your experience since you've been, I won't say in the Senate, but since you've been in the political arena?
Right. So, for those who don't know, I was the PLP candidate for the Smith South by-election that was caused by the OBA's Cole Simons resigning. I ran against Ben Smith, who's now the deputy leader of the OBA. And at that point, I was relatively unknown in the political space. And so I jumped at the opportunity to kind of steer myself with the people of Bermuda. I figured by-elections are a great opportunity to get a kind of a wider slice of the media pie, as it were. My day job's in IT. I work with data and applications, so I understand statistics. And looking at the polling results for the last forever, that's on the registrar's website, I knew what I was up against. But I don't shy away from a challenge. And while I was able to kind of maintain historical voting patterns there, it definitely was great experience with canvassing in Bermuda. I do have some canvassing experience from my time living in Toronto as well, working for a grassroots community organization. organizing folks around environmental improvement projects, things like tree planting, community gardens, bicycle ship, whatever the group could come up with, we were securing funding from the city of Toronto to implement those projects.
Okay. And now tell us about where you are the candidate now.
So right, I'm running in constituency 30, which is Southampton East Central. You can see back here some of the major landmarks, including the Southampton Princess Hotel. Um, it was formerly represented by Jason Wade, who will not be running in the next election. And so I've stepped in to represent the Progressive Labor Party with the intention of representing the people of Southampton.
Okay. So this would be, I'm assuming this is you.
Yeah, that's it from the previous set of media. You'll probably see some new photos coming out in the near future, hopefully with a less deer and headlights type of headshot on the go.
All right. Nice tie you got.
Yeah, very green indeed.
Tell us about this photo.
So this is from one of the community engagement events we put on in conjunction with the good folks at Horseshoe Bay Live. This is at Southampton Rangers. We had a bingo night, kind of multi-generational. As you can see, we got a few young folks out, some who didn't pose for the picture, but introduced some folks to bingo. Some of the folks well experienced with bingo as well. And it was a great chance to kind of chit chat with people and share my ideas for the community and kind of my values as a person and a politician.
Tell us about this lady.
As my campaign manager and branch chair, dedicated public servant is Valerie Dill. Actually, I just finished getting off a call with her earlier this evening as we continue to coordinate the campaign for the next 5 weeks leading up to the election. This picture's from the Warwick Parish's annual Christmas event. I live in Warwick in 28 actually, and so every year we go down to the post office and set up a little Christmas display, trees and some things like that. And in the evening, we'll have some performances. You've got the gumbays out and the majorettes and hot cocoa and treats for the kids, that sort of thing. Just an opportunity for the community to come together.
All right. And what's happening here?
Another one of the dedicated volunteers of the Progressive Labor Party, this Carlson Phillips, one of my canvassing partners. We're out in C30, probably towards the end. I forgot about taking some photos. Often, that I'm about doing the work, I'm posing for the pictures, and so sometimes I forget that we should be capturing some shots of us doing it because pics or it didn't happen.
You gotta do it for the ground. You gotta do it for the ground.
Reluctantly. No.
What's happening
So, reciprocal assistance. This is another one of our young candidates, the chairman of the Progressive Mind, Shamori Talbot Woolridge. He's running in constituency 9. And so we like to kind of alternate assisting with canvassing in each other's constituency. This is Saturday afternoon in kind of my homestead neighborhood out on Kildare Estate. My grandmother, Lorraine Fubler, and her husband, Reverend William Fubler from St. Paul. That's the homestead out there. And I said, all right, sure, yeah, I should still know some of the faces, and we'll go out and knock on some doors and capture questions, concerns, and comments from the people.
And when you go out canvassing, what are some of the common issues that people are bringing up?
I guess one of the things that's surprising is how varied they can be. Some of the folks, like, it would give you, so often we kind of solicit number one issue to get the conversation going, and many kind of struggle. There's so many things on the go right now, to pick what their number one issue is can be tough. But just as an example of how some people are concerned about things outside of the ordinary, some of the more elderly folks being concerned about education and yes, I had Basil. And so, number one, though, roads, street safety, so lighting, safety mirrors, cost of living is often brought up, health cost of healthcare, the challenge of being an adult and having to care for children and parents at the same time, kind of the sandwich generation, as it were. Um, but like I said, the issues are wide and varied.
So Oh, so when let's say somebody says, there's parochial issues and there's national issues, right?
Yeah.
And we know that some issues can be solved and some issues, maybe not. Right?
Well, not that day, but we can continue to work towards resolving them or at least reducing the impact.
Right. So, do you feel like when you interact with people, and let's say someone is maybe a little bit animated, how would you deal with that?
I gotta start off by listening to their concern, right? And then often it's important to apply empathy. So even if I don't necessarily agree with the points that they're making, I try to put myself in their shoes to understand their motivation. And then by kind of making that connection around, I understand that this is upsetting, and here is my understanding of the problem and some options for solutions. One of the ones I hear often is cost of living, which is difficult for government to resolve because we're not the vendors, we're not kind of the intermediaries that's resellers, or like food distributors as an example, and we're not in the supply chain. And so outside of adjusting taxes, there's not a lot of space there, but we can implement policy that can affect that. And so one of the things I'm keen to share on the doorstep is my advocacy for cooperative and nonprofit businesses. I've been recently reading a book that was recommended from one of my economist lecturer friends, transcending capitalism through collective cooperative practices. And so it focuses on examples of existing cooperative businesses, small and large, across the US of all places, which is kind of like the heart of modern day capitalism, still as an option. And so I think I was really excited to hear in the House that day that we will be working towards supporting cooperative businesses here on the island.
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? Is that wherever you go anywhere in Bermuda, there's a cost of living, the cost of healthcare. If you go to any other island, it's the same thing, right? If you go to the grocery stores in any other island, Cayman Islands, Barbados, the prices are maybe 10 cents off from what they are in Bermuda. It's not noticeably different, right? So what that tells us is that there's no government anywhere, not even in America or England, that are big industrial countries, that can actually bring down the cost of living, right? Now, is it a global conspiracy? I don't want to get into that, but the point I'm getting at is that the cost of living is not singular to the high cost of living is not singular to any given island or any country. It's all over, right?
International,
The
definitely.
supply chain is whatever latest excuse comes up. But the point of the matter is that everybody is paying more for groceries. Everybody's paying more for healthcare. Everybody's paying more. Some countries are paying less than us for electricity. But these are things that we have to be empathetic, but try to explain to people like it does. It's not you go anywhere else, it's not going to get any better. Like you know what I mean?
Right, and to just like you said, so intro, you said, "Who am I?" I said, "Intelligent, irreverent Bermuda Island native that's been here and there and back again." I've spent several years living in Toronto and Bangkok and New York City, uh, in different modes of work. Because at one point I was a community activist and a computer science teacher from first through middle school age students, and then also kind of community organizer type thing. And all of those places, the cost of living is relative. The food price might have been lower in real dollars, but compared to how much I was able to earn, there's similar pinch. I recently traveled to Las Vegas for a friend's 40th birthday, and I was surprised at the pricing of not just the hotels and restaurants, but things off the strip. I have a cousin that's from there, and kind of talking to them about the pricing. It really is something that is worldwide. And although you can look at several instances, there are some things related to just supply chain and the impacts of the pandemic. A lot of it's corporate greed, right? Like you can look, Loblaws in Canada recently was just found guilty of mispricing things for at least a year. I don't even know how far it's gone back. Read a little bit more into the detail to get some more specifics. But it's also a byproduct of there being um, kind of little real choice in the options of things to purchase. Even in America, where there's 40 types of soda on the shelf, when you trace who owns those various smaller companies, there's really like three or four options at the top. General Mills being one of those examples.
All right, so we're going to transition slightly. You've been canvassing for a good portion of time in one area. Now you're canvassing in another area. And at the end of the day, we know there's a general election having been called this for the February 18th. How do you feel about the general election?
Well, first off, I'm sure many of us would have hoped for more time. I've been out canvassing in C30 since kind of the end of September. As soon as I was rolled out as the candidate, hit the ground running. But there's 1,200, almost 1,300 registered voters, just under 700 doors to knock on. And, so far I've been doing it weekends and a couple evenings during the week. And so now I've got 5 weeks left to meet everyone. And so to anyone from C30 who's watching, who is unsure or thinking that they won't vote or, vote the other way, I encourage you to reach out. We had my contact info up there at the beginning, and sure Famous will put it up again before we leave. Happy to have a chat to talk about why I am the better choice.
Okay. So I'm going to play, what I'm going to do now is just gonna play a little video that highlights, contrasts the differences between us and there's other people who are mentioned their name, some of the stuff that PLP has been doing.
Inflation, crime, drugs. In Bermuda, we're living with all of that, and a colonial legacy that built a rigid economic system. The truth is, the government can't solve all our problems, but we're making Bermuda a little bit fairer by putting a little more money in your pocket.
Man,
Here's how.
video.
We increased seniors' pensions 6 times. We reduced taxes on 86% of Bermudians while raising taxes on the wealthy elite. We introduced the minimum wage for the first time. We raised the child care allowance to help working parents. We upgraded CCTV. We remodeled over 70 affordable homes and helped over 30 young people buy their first home. We have more work to do. Our plans include more mental health and addiction counseling, more affordable homes, a senior daycare facility, expanding future care and HIP, and helping you access more affordable groceries. The OBA is for the elites. The PLP are working for a fairer Bermuda for us all.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now is go through a few things that the PLP has actually done. So we're done. And talk about this for a few minutes.
Sort thing. Right, so workforce development has launched several apprenticeship programs. Often when talking to people on the doorstep, they bring up how we used to have the kind of a technical school that prepare for people for trades profession. There's lots of opportunity there to be self-employed or an entrepreneur to run your own business in the trade. You don't need to take on significant student loan debt to get started, and can be fairly fulfilling to work with your hands. I think, and so I work at a desk job now, but I think in another life I would have liked to be like an architect or an engineer or something like that, where I get to tinker with things. Often I find I'm doing that with my little free time.
Okay. Tell us about this.
And then, initially, I'm fairly passionate about expanding access to housing. Housing is a human right. And actually, you shared with me a stat that was pretty astounding, the 770 homes built by Bermuda Housing Corporation over the time this existed, with 70 of them being built provided in the last 2 years, and over 100 more slated to be brought online. It's one of the kind of larger portions of people's budgets as far as the cost of living crisis. And so subsidized housing to be more affordable is definitely imperative. And protecting wages for workers, there you go, so I'm not cut off. I was surprised to find out from my time I used to have one summer hustle when I was coming home for summers from school that the tips could be withheld by the employer. And so by protecting that in legislation that the gratuities go to the workers, not the owners or the managers necessarily who aren't doing the service work, is seeing great protection for workers in Bermuda.
Mhm.
And again, more access to housing, the mortgage guarantee program. I'm anxiously awaiting the expansion of the program to more than the kind of public service employees and um, people looking to purchase new homes so that they can transfer my mortgage in. That government providing some guarantee there to reduce the risk to the bank to lend helps reduce the mortgage rate, which can save you significant amounts on buying your piece of the rock.
Tell us
And
about
this
this.
this one is another one that I'm glad to see. I'm a parent of two young children myself. My daughter's 6 and my son is gonna be 4 in March. And well, I don't qualify for this. I can empathize with the people who would see benefit from having subsidized childcare. One of the demographic crisis is driven by not enough children being born. And so part of the reason that happens, the reason I'm not going for a third is because it's expensive. And by helping to reduce those costs, it can help to encourage more of us to expand our families. And you can see there almost 150 more people benefiting from the child daycare benefit thanks to the PLP.
Okay. And lastly,
So this is again, it might be right there in the picture, the Southampton Princess being renovated. Um, Cautiously optimistic. We've had several kind of back and forths around what happened, and then interest rates went crazy, and the brakes got pumped a bit. But I was there for the ceremonial groundbreaking. There's definitely equipment. I've been talking to people that work up there. It's happening, and the people of Southampton East Central are definitely looking forward to it being a success.
okay. So these are just some of the things that the PLP has done, right? Because, like I said, there are those who can attempt to say PLP hasn't done nothing for the people. The PLP has just spent the money. PLP, all sorts of what's the word you want to say, innuendo, right? And we have to point out to these people
Yeah.
straight up. Like you have to say, no, hold on. See this picture here? Oh, you see those 70 houses that were built in the last year, 2 years? PLP did that, right?
Reduce
Oh, you see
taxes,
the
payroll
fact that,
taxes for 86% of Bermudians, and I
yeah, I mean,
believe
there's
all
so much
businesses, right?
more, right? But people are gonna say, well, the price of bread's going up by $2. The PLP is not doing anything for you, right? It is what it is. You can't tell people to not be upset about certain things. But you also, when you're in a position of leadership, whether you're a senator or MP or know nothing, right? You're in a position of leadership. You have to educate yourself first and foremost, and then you educate others on the cold hard truths, right? Because if you're not doing
Indeed.
that, then you're just telling people what they want to hear, and it's never going to turn out that way. Very rarely going to turn out that way. So, I glory in the fact that you're one of those persons that, you actually research your topics before you speak to it, right? You're a fact finder, not oh, well, I heard, or I saw, or somebody told me, right?
Right. I
You
mean, it's
know,
cool if you tell me, but I'm gonna look it up myself after that. I like to confirm my sources.
all right. So, over the next 2 minutes or so, tell the people why they should vote for Mischa Fubler in Southampton East Central or Central.
Yeah, Southampton East Central,
Yeah.
kind of from the St. Anne Road towards South Shore, and you can look it up on the elections.gov.bm website. Um, why you should vote for me? I'm a dedicated public servant, community activist, social justice advocate. I've been doing the work before I joined politics. I intend to bring that ethos to my work in the Progressive Labor Party, serving the people of Bermuda. I have extensive software and enterprise software development and data engineering experience, something that you're going to struggle to find amongst any of the other candidates that are currently come forward to run. I
Me
have team
included. Yeah.
leadership experience. Yeah, right. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all bring our different skill sets to the team, but I think I will be a valuable addition to the legislature because of that experience that I have, both in the IT work that I do currently, the education work I did for 7+ years prior to that. And my undergraduate degree is in urban studies, which is a kind of city planning and sociology program where you learn about how cities develop over time, how public infrastructure and land zone allocation can be used to help develop cities healthily, so that while you see growth, you don't see the working class people being pushed out of the neighborhoods where they reside. Things like gentrification, as an example.
So let's expand on that a bit. They vote for
Yeah.
you. Why should they vote for PLP? Because we know some people vote on the personality of the person, and some
Yeah.
people vote on the party, or some people vote both, right? But why should people vote PLP? Let's say they
Look
don't
at the
even like
policy.
Misha. Let's say they don't know
Yeah.
Misha, right? The
Right.
reality in canvassing is you're not going to see everybody. You're not, all right?
Correct.
It will take you, I don't know, 2 years to see everybody. Why should they vote for the PLP?
Look at the policy and the other options. There's some out there that are looking to give business free reign. I think business will thrive if there's no guardrails. All you need to do is look at other places where there's unbridled capitalism to see how that negatively affects working class people. When you look at the policy and the direction of travel of the policy and legislation we implement, it's focused on working class Bermudians and growing the economy so that everyone can feel the success of that economic growth. And the people that I've worked with within the party are dedicated and hardworking and committed to the people they represent,
Hmm.
myself included,
All
or who
right.
I hope to represent, right? They haven't voted for me.
Well, you're representing them now, right? Because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, if you got, let's go to something else to show how you're representing the people. But even if you do something heroically, you are basically representing the people, right? So
Right, responding to the feedback of the neighborhood. I have a feeling, I know a picture you're gonna put up there. I started my canvassing back in the fall, like I mentioned, and several homes had talked about how the safety mirror out at the intersection of Middle Road and Riviera Road had blown away or been knocked down or some such thing. It was gone. And through researching how we get that replaced, I was surprised to find out that the government does not replace these mirrors. They are generally replaced by the community themselves or the MPs and candidates in the neighborhood. And so, with that understanding, went out and procured one and had someone from the neighborhood come out and help me to put it up.
is that a
I
drill
can't
in
even
your
remember
hand?
now. Yeah, you got to get to drill it into the pole. I mean, a little
Oh,
handy. I like to build a
yeah,
thing here
yeah.
and there.
All right,
Uh,
cool.
in the, you know,
Yeah, so as we wrap up, as I said, there will always be people attempting to say the PLP hasn't did anything for the people of Bermuda. And then you ask them, well, what is your plan? And then it's, I don't know, complain about the PLP. That's the only plan. It's just like anything else that you wrap. It's like anything else. Okay, if what I'm doing is not working, show me what you're planning to do, and maybe you might know something I don't know. And most of the platforms are very vague. Oh, we're going to somebody put out a
reduce the
platform
cost of
today.
living without
Yeah,
saying
we're
how
going to reduce the
they're
cost of
going to
living. we're going
make
to,
government more efficient without saying how the people within their party have the experience to drive efficiency. One thing that I didn't really focus on that I want to make a point of is regardless of any change you want to see the government make and how they interact with the people, whether it's the process to get your passport updated or to register your house or to register a birth, if you change how that works, it's generally going to need a change in a computer system or a form or a process. And day to day, I go in and get presented with complex problems and synthesize solutions to those problems that leverage technology. And I think that's a unique characteristic amongst the candidates, especially the ones that have currently come forward in C30.
yeah, I mean, the thing is that, I'll clear this up, right? If the way I'm fixing this dinner is not good, show me how you go fix it. And you're saying the recipe that you show me is the exact same recipe that I'm using now, then you're not saying much. But you get, not you and I per se, but as we go along in the next 5 weeks, we have more in-depth discussions with others. I want to thank our media partners, Cayman Word, the people of Cayman Islands, it's Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Brac. They are actually going to election this year as well. Their date, I don't think their date has been announced, but they're in an election cycle as well as in Turks and Caicos, they're having an election February 7th, and Anguilla's having a election as well sometime this year. And also want to give condolences to the family of anyone who's passed recently, and put that way. Just been, it is what it is. People pass away, and we want to give condolences to that. So, thank you, Senator Fubler, and
Thank you,
hit
Brother
those
Famous.
doors, my boy. Hit those
That's the
doors.
plan. I'm out there tomorrow. If you want to throw the contact up there again, real quick.
Oh yeah, sure.
I'll be out if it's not, storming outside, I'll be in the neighborhood. And if it is storming, I'm gonna be making phone calls here from home. So feel free to reach out if you have questions, concerns, or comments about my campaign in C30, Southampton East Central.
So
Thanks for your time this evening.
for those who can't read the small print, what's the number?
Number is 516-8694. And my email is my name, mischa.fubler@plp.bm. Mischa is Mischa.
Okay.
Fubler, Fubler.
And as we close out, what do we say in the PLP?
PLP all the way.
All the way, all the way,
PLP.
PLP. Thank you, and tune in for another episode of Point of Order sometime later, sometime early in the next week.
Yes, sir.
All right.